Does God value every person, every task in the church? Let's look at Nehemiah chapter 12. Who were the heads of the priests and Levites who returned with Zerubbabel and Joshua? These were the priests and Levites who returned with Zerubbabel son of Shealtiel and with Joshua: Sarai, Jeremiah, Ezra, Amariah, Malach, Hattush, Shechaniah, Rehum, Meremoth, Iddo, Ginnethon, Abijah, Mijamim, Modiah, Bilgah, Shemaiah, Joiarib, Jediah, Sallu, Amok, Hilkiah, and Jediah. These were the leaders of the priests and their associates in the days of Joshua. Does God also honor other Levites by listing their names? Moreover, the Levites were Yeshua, Binnui, Kadmiel, Sherebiah, Judah, and Mattaniah, who led the thanksgiving psalms. He and his brethren, also Bakbukiah and Unni, their brethren, stood across from them in their duties. Yeshua begot Joachim, Joachim begot Eliashib, Eliashib begot Joiada, Joiada begot Jonathan, and Jonathan begot Jaddua. Now in the days of Joachim, the priests, the heads of their fathers' houses, were of Sariah, Moriah, of Jeremiah, Hananiah, of Ezra, Meshullam, of Amariah, Jehohanan, of Melichu, Jonathan, of Shebaniah, Joseph, of Harim, Adna, of Meraioth, Helkai, of Iddu, Zechariah, of Ginnethon, Meshullam, of Abijah, Zikri, the son of Minjamin, of Modiah, Piltai, of Bilgah, Shammua, of Shemaiah, Jehonathan, of Joiarib, Mattani, of Jediah, Uzzi, of Salai, Kalai, of Amok, Eber, of Hilkiah, Hashabiah, and of Jediah, Nethanel. Does God think that praise and thanksgiving are important enough to even record the families involved? A record of the Levite families was kept during the years when Eliashib, Joiada, Johanan, and Jaddua served as high priest. Another record of the priests was kept during the reign of Darius the Persian. A record of the heads of the Levite families was kept in the book of history down to the days of Johanan, the grandson of Eliashib. These were the family leaders of the Levites: Hashabiah, Sherebiah, Yeshua, Binnui, Kadmiel, and other associates who stood opposite them during the ceremonies of praise and thanksgiving, one section responding to the other as commanded by David, the man of God. This included Mattaniah, Bakbukiah, and Obadiah. Meshullam, Talmon, and Akub were the gatekeepers in charge of the storerooms at the gates. These also served in the days of Joachim, son of Yeshua, son of Jehozadak, and in the days of Nehemiah the governor, and of Ezra the priest and scribe. Did they dedicate the wall of Jerusalem with gladness, thanks, and singing? At the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem, they sought the Levites out of all their places to bring them to Jerusalem to keep the dedication with gladness, both with giving thanks and with singing, with cymbals, stringed instruments, and with harps. The sons of the singers gathered themselves together, both out of the plain around Jerusalem and from the villages of the Netophathites, also from Beth Gilgal and out of the fields of Geba and Asmaveth. For the singers had built themselves villages around Jerusalem. The priests and the Levites purified themselves, and they purified the people, the gates, and the wall. Why detail so many of those who sang and played musical instruments? Does God focus more on individuals who serve than we do? Then I brought the leaders of Judah up onto the wall and organized 2 large groups to give thanks. The first group went in procession on the wall toward the right, in the direction of the dung gate. Following them went Hoshea and half the officials of Judah, along with Azariah, Ezra, Meshullam, Judah, Benjamin, Shemaiah, and Jeremiah. There were also some young priests with trumpets: Zechariah, son of Jonathan, son of Shemaiah, son of Mattaniah, son of Micaiah, son of Zachar, son of Asaph, along with his associates, Shemaiah, Azarel, Milalai, Gilalai, Mai, Nethanel, Judah, and Hanani. They brought the musical instruments of David, the man of God. Ezra the scribe went in front of them. When they reached the fountain gate, they went straight up by the stairs of David's city on the ascent to the wall, past the house of David to the water gate on the east. Does God honor all roles in the church, not just a few? The second group of singers marched along the wall in the opposite direction, and I followed them, together with the other half of the leaders of Judah. We went past Oven Tower, Broad Wall, Ephraim Gate, Old Gate, Fish Gate, Hananel Tower, 100 Tower, and on to Sheep Gate. Finally, we stopped at Gate of the Guard, where we stood in front of the temple with the other group praising God. In the group with me were half of the leaders, as well as the priests: Eliakim, Maaseiah, Miniamin, Micaiah, Elioenai, Zechariah, and Hananiah, who were blowing trumpets. Maaseiah, Shemaiah, Eleazar, Uzzi, Jehohanan, Malchiah, Elam, and Ezer also stood there, as Jezreiah led the singers. God had made the people very happy, and so on that day they celebrated and offered many sacrifices. The women and children joined in the festivities, and joyful shouts could be heard far from the city of Jerusalem. Were there many important functions to assign, a job for all? On that day men were appointed over the storerooms, the contributions, the firstfruits, and the tithes, to gather into them the portions required by the law for the priests and for the Levites according to the fields of the towns. For Judah rejoiced over the priests and the Levites who ministered, and they performed the service of their God and the service of purification, as did the singers and the gatekeepers, according to the command of David and his son Solomon. For long ago in the days of David and Asaph, there were directors of the singers, and there were songs of praise and thanksgiving to God. And all Israel in the days of Zerubbabel and in the days of Nehemiah gave the daily portions for the singers and the gatekeepers, and they set apart that which was for the Levites, and the Levites set apart that which was for the sons of Aaron. Is every part of the human body important, valued, as is every member of the church? So the eye cannot say to the hand, I don't need you, or again the head cannot say to the feet, I don't need you. But even more, those parts of the body that seem to be weaker are necessary. Does God value every person, every task in the church? You decide.